live from their home studios. Please welcome the hosts of DevCentral Connects, Buu and Jason Rom.
Hello there, DevCentral community. My name is Buu, one of your community evangelists over on DevCentral. Today I am joined by Jason Rom, who I will bring on in just a second, and very special guest that we'll have on today is Leif Zimmerman, who is also one of the DevCentral team members, but you don't really see him on our live streams. But today you actually will. You'll get to see the face behind community.f5.com, and that's what we're here to talk about today. So today is what we're calling DC Extra. There are a number of live streams that we do on Tuesdays, and the Tuesday ones are specifically themed, and we have 4 themes. And then once in a while we have a Tuesday with once in a while we have a month with 5 Tuesdays. And so the 5th Tuesday is what we'll call a DC Extra. So that's one of these episodes today. And we figured with the new community platform that we've rolled out and migrated to, that we'll talk about that specifically today. So we're really excited to talk about that, talk about all the new features and fancy bells and whistles that we have on the platform now. I'd like to remind everyone, if you have not subscribed already, if you're watching this from something like YouTube, then there's a subscribe button just down here somewhere. So you want to click that and make sure it's grayed out because you've already subscribed. If you haven't clicked the bell already, you want to make sure you want to hit that so that you get all the notifications for stuff that is being uploaded. On the YouTube side of things, we have our content library with tons of other really helpful videos, not just the live streams, but all the really helpful stuff when it comes to F5 stuff and Kubernetes stuff, container stuff in general, learning all about all sorts of technology concepts on there, not just the F5 stuff. So really useful on there. If you're watching us from another platform, though, we are streaming to Twitter and LinkedIn and Facebook as well. So you want to make sure that you're just subscribed to the group on there. But over on YouTube is where all of our content library is. We'll also talk a lot about today our community platform, which is community.f5.com. And over on that platform, you'll want to sign up for a free membership on there. There's lots of really helpful articles on getting to know your F5 technology, as well as general concepts around technology on there as well. And all of the notes, we're going to start putting all of the notes from these shows onto that platform as well, inside of a kind of a show follow-up thread as well. So you want to be signed up on that. So having said all that, I'd like to bring on my co-host today, Mr. Jason Rom. Jason, how you doing?
I am back among the land of the living.
Yeah.
Not everyone in the house is yet. It's been a week and a half for sure. The influenza is back, and it is rearing its ugly head, at least in our area. I don't know how the outbreaks are out where you are, but flu is making a raging comeback here in my area, and it took out the whole house. So.
Oh, that's nasty. Yeah, I got a wood tabletop today that I'm going to knock on today because I think we've narrowly avoided it. My in-laws, most of their household got a bit of a bug, and we saw them on the weekend, but it was just a couple days after it went through their household. So I think we're in the clear. But yeah, knock on wood.
Yeah.
So Jason,
to be back in the fold for sure. Yeah.
It's good to have you on. I've got a question for you today, and we'll see how this turns out because I don't know if I've asked this one before, if we've discussed it before. And the question can go out to the community as well. So I see a number of folks that are watching right now, and feel free to drop your answer into the chat. Jason, what was your first computer?
Ooh.
Tell us about that.
Yeah. So, I guess if we're talking strictly computing, it would have been the Apple IIc.
Oh, wow.
My mom was in her first year of teaching, and Apple came out with special teacher pricing, and I remember thinking, wow, that is so much money, because my parents, we did not have a lot of extra money when I was growing up, and it was like $1,500 on teacher pricing that they bought our Apple IIc with. And so, yeah, from early on, my brother and I were learning how to do, very basic, 10 print, 20 go to 10 go, and, the very basic type programs on the computer, and the Winter Olympics games. But yeah, you turn on your computer and it's just there now. But back in the day in 1984, um, maybe it was 85, I don't know. But to boot your computer, you're putting in one of those giant 5 1/4 inch floppies into the computer to boot it, because there's not enough memory and no hard disk in the computer to store any of that stuff. So, crazy times. But yeah, that was my first one. How about you?
Oh, wow, that's cool. I will highlight one of the research team in the back there, IBM PC Junior with 265K RAM, 5.5-inch floppy. Nice. And that was 1982. And Leslie as well, first computer, Mac, Apple IIc. I want to go back and play Black Cauldron and Lode Runner. Again, I played some Lode Runner. Did you have that one?
I didn't have that. We had the Oregon Trail and Lemonade Stand and the Winter Olympics. Those are the ones I remember playing the most. Oregon Trail's like one of those things where I think there was some kind of a random algorithm in there, because my brother and I actually on paper would map out every decision in a game so that we could go back and play it exactly the same way, but it like never worked out exactly the same way. So like, yeah, they were doing some funny stuff on the back end.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I think I have, found some modern versions of Oregon Trail and tried to play it again, and still remains the one of the most frustrating games I've ever played. So,
Yeah.
um, my first computer. So the first computer that I actually owned, or my parents got for me, was a 386 SX2, I believe, 25 megahertz.
Oh,
Um, Before that,
can I guess the
I would
year?
have,
Can I guess the year?
yeah,
Was it around 1989?
I believe it was 1990. Yeah.
1999. Okay. Because that was my freshman year, maybe my sophomore year in high school. And I was in a personal typing class, and they had just, for the very first time, gotten some i386 computers with 25 megahertz of RAM,
No, nice.
or
Yeah,
25 megahertz processor. And so yeah, that's cool.
that was a good time. My friends had Commodore 64, and there was I don't know if you'd ever come across a Tandy 1000
Oh yeah. Mhm.
before as well. Yeah, one of my friends had one of those. He had way better games on that than the Commodore 64. I recall.
Can I rabbit hole on Oregon Trail for a second?
Yeah.
When I was in college, my degree is actually in aviation. I got my degree in avionics, and so coming out of college, I had an opportunity to go install avionics panels and mock those up for pilots that would come in to buy jets and all that, or to go down the computer path. And I chose the computer path. But in college, one of the classes I took was like airline management, and the whole semester we played effectively the Oregon Trail game, but with airlines. And you had to select the regions that you would fly into. You had to select the types of planes that you would use, whether you would be like a Southwest and fly one plane, or if you would fly multiple different types of planes. And if you have more planes, that means you need more maintenance teams, and then you need to be more parts locations and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, long story short, Oregon Trail, but the college version for airline management, and it was equally as frustrating as Oregon Trail.
Oh, that's awesome. We do have a comment here as well. I think James meant Atari STE with 512 kilobytes of RAM.
Interesting. Atari made it a computer, not just a game console.
So I'm looking that up now.
I've never heard of that one.
Yeah, I'll bring it up actually. This
I
is
had a buddy in college who was like a huge Amiga fan. Like, he was almost irrationally angry at anybody who had never heard of Amiga.
Oh wow, my hold on, my Chrome permissions are off because I just did a Chrome update yesterday, and so I'm not gonna restart my browser. But that's a good note. If anybody did not see, there's
Yeah.
a fairly serious Chrome 0 day in the last 2 days. So you want to make sure your Chrome browsers are up to date. The research team in the back coming through again puts up the link Atari Mega STE. So folks, check that out there. Thanks. Thanks to the team in the background there. Very cool. That was good to reminisce down that. So we've got on Leaf, who is our platform manager of the community site. So let's bring him on in just a second here. All right, welcome, Leaf.
Thank
How you doing?
you. Pretty good. How are you guys?
Good.
I was listening
Your first
to.
computer? Lee?
Yeah. I had lots of time to think about that. So my first computer, I think I'd have to count the one that my dad got first. It was a TI 99, and it ran off of a tape, like an audio tape. He had cables hooked to this little audio tape player, and then cables hooked to like a, I don't know, 19-inch black and white TV. And yeah, I remember he was learning how to program, and he built us a game. He said, "Do you want to make a horse racing game?" I was really into horses. I was about, I don't know, 8, reading books about horses, and so he built this horse racing game, and I got to design the shape of these little pixelated horses, and their little legs did this across the screen, and he put this little randomizer in it, so you could, had 10 horses, and you get to name your horse, and they race across the screen. And I was thinking about, he built the first cheat code that I ever knew about, because I could if I named my horse a certain thing, or maybe just picked a certain spot, my horse would tend to win more often than others, so I could, beat my friends or whatever.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, that is really cool.
And yeah, my
that's awesome.
grandfather had one of those Ataris, and he had so much RAM. We were just like, wow, you could never use that much RAM. I think it was 64 meg or something. I don't remember. It was a lot.
Oh yeah, just wait for the Windows world.
Yeah.
I think in those days,
and then some.
This was pre-Windows. Yeah, I think I also remember my dad saying, "Man, that computer he has, that has so much space on it. You could type for 1,000 years and never fill it all up." And then, within about 5 years, just any one email had a signature in it that was bigger than that.
Yeah.
So,
I remember getting, when Windows 95 came out, and I don't think I got the CD version. So the floppy disk version was 25 or 27 floppies to load that.
Oh yeah.
Imagine now.
Yeah. It's just crazy.
Yeah. So today, so that TI 99 led you to building out the community website for F5, I guess. Skip forward a number of decades. And you've maybe we'll give you a second to introduce what you do at F5 Leaf, and we'll jump into the new platform.
Okay. Yeah. In some ways, I guess that did help me out. I was designing horses at age 8, and then helping to do UI design and, just kind of overall technical integration stuff. So my role is program manager, platform manager for the DevCentral community.f5.com website. I'm working with folks on the back end, integrating with single sign-on, or integrating with federated search tooling, or other integrations that we might have. Looking for more integrations in the future right now. So yeah, I do everything from spam management to program design for the next set of features, or information architecture for how the tabs work and everything. So yeah, if you have pretty much anything you want to worry about on the specifics of the website, not the content. You ask me a question about big IP, I go, Jason, Buu. I don't know anything about that stuff, but I tend to know a little bit anyway. A little bit of a lot of things, not a lot of any one thing on the website. So
yeah.
Although I will say you're fairly a gearhead when it comes to the platform. Like, there is not a stone unturned when it's like, oh, I don't know about that. And, within a couple hours, okay, here's what we can and can't do, which is pretty fantastic.
Yeah. I think that's part of the reason why I'm still in this industry, even not being so technical, is just I like to, turn over rocks and poke, and I'm not afraid to break stuff. So yeah.
I think
well,
you general skill, regardless of what you do, is getting out of analysis paralysis, getting out of, the fear of making a mistake, and just go, kind of like, what was it, Miss Frizzle in the Magic School Bus, get dirty, make mistakes, and, all that stuff. It's like, it's so important. It is so important to get over the fear of failure and just break stuff.
Yeah.
It's going to be okay.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, at risk of sounding like, the new age Web 2.0 type startups with their like break stuff faster kind of thing. That's a little bit extreme, but yeah, you really have to be willing to just kind of dig in and not worry about that. The other thing that I've taken to heart in the last, 10 or so years is this idea that I was using, talking to various owners in the company when we were getting started here, is we really want to just put this building down. This is my analogy I've been using. We want to put this building down and we just want to plant grass around the outside and watch where people walk. And when they walk and then you can see a path in the grass, then you put the sidewalk in that spot. And then when they kind of stop and congregate in a spot, you say, hey, is this where you want to be? Okay, let's put a table there. Let's put a bench there. What are you doing here? So it's really just kind of watching how people want to behave on the site, or, going to and from the building, and putting that stuff in later and being okay with it being just a little bit plain at first.
Yeah. Well, and also for, we've had suggestions come in really from day one, and we're really trying to be slow and thoughtful with changes rather than reactionary, because, we don't want to squirrel over every suggestion, because, that can lead to poor decisions. So we want to be responsive, but we want to do it, with some careful calculus along the way.
Yeah, exactly. And I have a tendency to be squirrel, because I think maybe the flip side of the coin of I like to turn over all the little stones and find out what's underneath them is the other side is, ooh, look at that. And I go down some rabbit hole for a couple hours.
And how many ledges did we talk each other off of when we were doing the prep and development? You're like, oh, we can do this. Oh, we can do this. And like, well,
yeah, more ledges than I knew we had.
That's right. That's right.
Yep. There's lots of possibility here. So
that is cool, though. I mean, that, in terms of your exploration, we were on another platform for the past couple of years, and you learned a lot about things that people didn't want and what we did want in a community, and got to the point where we got to implement what we wanted and give everybody the home that they deserve. So maybe we can kind of walk through what we initially have now with this platform, and maybe some of the differences that people can, maybe if somebody had logged in the last 2 years, what they can expect now when they log in with the refresh platform.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Should I bring up your screen there, Leaf?
Yeah, go for it.
All right.
All right, cool. So this is like just the home page. We've got a slightly different approach to the way the homepage operates. There's these featured articles, which is sort of the same as before, but they're always visible instead of rotating. That should just help you be able to quickly scan without having to wait for the, that kind of stuff. Obviously, the search thing is at the top all the time. But what's interesting here is that right now I'm logged in. I'm not logged in. I'm just a guest user, somebody who's not a member of the community yet. The community activity is across the platform. So I'll go through the kind of the architecture of which things are what, but this feed right here is everything that's most recent. And you can sort obviously by, most viewed, most commented, most liked, and it'll resort, but it's still looking at everything that this user has the capability of seeing. So before our homepage and some of that stuff was really hamstrung into just one little thing, one little list that you can see. So this is all the activity this user is able to see. If I'm logged in as, just a regular user, or if I'm logged in as like maybe a VIP, an MVP, or as an admin, then I'll see different things in this list at the start. But that doesn't preclude you from obviously going in and navigating straight to where you want, or obviously bookmarking stuff. So I'll just kind of cruise through the top of these real quick. The forums is the place. I'll click on the top thing there. So the forums is the meat, the bread and butter of what we're talking about, right? This is 63,000 posts that we've kind of migrated throughout the years. Some stuff we get rid of, but most of the stuff is there for many, many, many years because its usefulness continues to be useful for a long time. So this is where you come to ask questions, where you come to discover how to solve a particular problem. I tend to want to think about the way people come here, not necessarily in a product oriented way, but more in the verb of what you're doing. If you're installing something, or if you're deploying something, or if you're securing something, or if you're researching something, I want to try and start getting us to a more mature is the wrong word, but a more, where do you walk in the grass, right? Where am I walking? I'm walking down the path that goes to security, or I'm walking down the path that goes to deployment or whatever. So that's where we're kind of headed, but right now it's one big bucket of technical forum. And then obviously there's water cooler, where you can get in there and share your Wordle scores, or talk about us when you want to laugh at how I talk on the internet or something. All right, so forums. This is the questions. This is the question and answer. It used to be called questions. Now it's the forum. Articles has 3 sections for most people. The technical articles, also the big chunk, one of the biggest chunks that we've got. This is where F5ers share things. It used to be called, it's always been called articles. This is SMEs sharing good practice around F5 products, or the ecosystem that F5 lives in. This crowdsource section, and this gets back to what you were saying a second ago, I think Jason or Boo, about we have an idea, we go with an idea, it doesn't maybe work all the way out, and we try to adjust, we get some suggestions, and we look at it for a little bit and kind of hem and haw, get some more feedback, and talk about what we're going to do, watch where people walk, decide to put down a bench, right? So technical articles is F5ers. Crowdsource is anyone in the community. This permission comes as soon as you log in, as soon as you register. You can share code, or you can write an article similar to what this looks like. They go through a approval process that is usually just checking to make sure that you're not a spammer, and it goes live. So I'll get to the suggestions here in a second. Now maybe I'll bring up one of the suggestions that talks about crowdsource. But this is for the community to promote whatever they like to share, helping other users. And then DevCentral News.
One of the cool things about crowdsource as well is because we can put code or articles in there. When somebody drops something really useful in the forums, we can nominate that up to an article, and then that will just then hit the dashboard for our editors to be able to say, oh yeah, that makes sense, and then they can approve it as a crowdsource article, so that it's there and not buried in, because you saw 63,000 posts in forums. That stuff gets buried pretty quickly. But something that would be, rather than just asked and answered and then searching, having useful tips from forums merged out. We don't have to do a whole lot of work on our side to make that happen, which is great.
Right. And this was actually a response to many years of people saying, I want to write an article. MVPs typically, or people who were members of the community but weren't F5ers, and the permissions just weren't there for us to let, it wasn't easy to let them author and then manage their own articles. So this section became an article section that has a code share template applied that you could use if you choose to for that.
Well, and I guess I'll say one technical difference between technical articles and the crowdsource articles is that, and you alluded to this a little bit, but on the crowdsource side, we're not vetting your content. We're just making sure it's not spam, and it might be useful to the community for things that you're working on, but it's completely as is. On the technical article side, we do a little bit of vetting of the stuff. It's still not like F5 supported. Anything that goes in the community is not F5 supported material. So keep that in mind, but we do vet the content a little bit more stringently for what goes into technical articles.
Yeah, it's the technical article things tends to be more peer-reviewed type stuff from internal folks. Often enough, the person writing that article is the expert in the world about that thing, one of the few, and so it's not like any of certainly not me. I am not capable of vetting what they're saying as being accurate or not. But yeah, we check check some basics, make sure that they've gone through some process on the backside to make it as good as we can. While you say that still.
I'll also note as well, like a lot of the stuff that ends up as a technical article is something that somebody has already done with the customer. So they learned something and they documented what they did. And a good example
Mm,
of that is Dan Holland recently released a 5 article series on automation with PowerShell. And that was all as a result of working with a customer on PowerShell automation. And so he just documented as he went along and then reproduced it as a technical article. So did it once and spread it out to many.
hmm Yeah, excellent. Are we done in 5 minutes? Is that, or do we have more than that?
You got as much
It,
time as you need.
Oh,
it'll
okay.
keep going. Don't worry.
Okay. Good. So, so yeah, that's the article section, and it should be pretty easy to kind of figure out what's going on there. So I'm going to skip kind of to the end and then come back to the middle. So because I want to make sure everybody gets the suggestions, the idea around suggestions. Suggestions is a place where you can say, hey, I don't like this about this form, or I don't like this about this, the way this tool works, or how do I find, or why can't I find? Can you make it so I can find, some function or other? um, One of the first things we got here, and it sounds kind of aggressive, but bring back code share, right? This user said, hey, I don't like this. It's confusing and I want it like this. And so we went through some conversation, public conversation. This, I have spent whatever 10 months getting this thing built, but it's not my baby. So I don't have any pride. I want to make sure that it does what we need it, what you all need it to do. So we talked about it for a little bit, got some more feedback from some MVPs, and we're in the process now of maybe, updating this system, this crowdsource thing in a way. I have a couple of options. I want to run it past the team, but yeah, so we're listening to you. I want as much feedback from folks as I can get, because this is the way I can prioritize, escalate, understand. This is the grass where people are walking on, right? This is where I get you to tell me what you want to do in words rather than behaviors. So
Yeah, and that's not just for the DevCentral platform. That's also for, you have product suggestions. You want,
yeah,
the official path is, through your sales team and an RFE, request for enhancement. But if you want more eyes on that, and we can certainly circulate that amongst the product teams here as well, to drop suggestions in here.
yeah. The primary, I mean, my intent here it is again, right? My intent was that this would be for DevCentral itself, but it turns out people want to request things too. I'm not going to tell them no. If it becomes that there's lots of people walking in this path, then I'm going to say, hey, product, let's get yourself a suggestions thing going this way. So yeah, anything that you want to see related to F5, this is the place. This is a place to come, and I will handle it if I can, or escalate it if I can't. Cool. So that's suggestions. You definitely have to be logged in. All these things you have to be logged in to do, but none of them you have to be logged in to read. So I should have mentioned that at the top. Okay, so events, real quick. This is simply a calendar. We're still learning how this works best for us. We've had some stuff running on here with our DevCentral Connect after shows. I did an AMA early on, when we first got launched. We're still learning. I'm not sure that I'm completely happy with the way this is working right now, but I've got some conversations to have with our platform provider and some more people to see, what do we do to make this kind of do what we want it to do. Also, it kind of helps. It would have helped if we'd had events, in the world to go to, and we're just now finally getting back to that. So maybe that will be something that starts showing up here. And then the last one is this groups. This is a big one. It's a new one. It has the potential to be awesome, and it has the potential to be very fragmentary. And this is the one I'm taking like kid gloves as much as I can, right? Because it could get really hairy. If I click on this group thing, I start to navigate through, these chains, and it just gets I feel like this interface is a little bit clunky, and I'm not pulling any punches, but clunky can be useful as long as you know where it is, but it can also be off-putting if you're new. So a group, right now we have a couple different types of groups that are managed by F5ers and groups that are managed by or for F5ers and by or for community groups, mostly. There's not a real hard line on how that works. So like most things in community, it's a little bit organic. So right now we've got a couple of groups started that you can see they don't have many posts. Actually, they don't have posts because I'm not logged in. If I'm logged in, I start to see that content, right? And if I join that group, then I see that content everywhere on DevCentral. So yeah, so groups are coming, they're growing. We've got the MVP group. If I click down to the MVP group, you can see it's a closed group. You have to send in a request to join. You have to be registered and then send in a request. And Leslie or myself or maybe Rebecca will allow that person into the group if they're allowed to be in the group. We will have some public groups in the next 5-6 months. Again, taking it kind of slow to make sure we can manage it. But yeah, so there should be some groups. I think that was all I wanted to talk about groups, unless there's maybe something I missed, Jason or Boo.
I think we were going to mention as well, there's a DCC group that's coming up. And so this is for, our viewers who want a different, an enhanced experience with DevCentral Connects. We're going to try this out. It's a group where we're going to post our show information. So there will be a link to the YouTube on there. It's embedded in there, so you can watch the stream from within the thread. And then for Thursdays, we have our after show. So for the Microservices March. So we've been doing the labs for the first 30 minutes, bringing people over to Zoom so that we can finish off the lab after the 30 minutes. And then we post a Zoom link. Everybody can join the Zoom link. And we were using events for that. We're going to use the DCC form for that.
We tried it. Yeah, exactly. We tried events for a little bit, but we're just not finding that it's really doing what we think it could or should do. Can I stop this screen and I'll pop up the other one and then, okay. So let me pop up the other one and I will show you what that other group looks like.
And while you're doing that, we might do other things than after shows. We might do some, inside looks at things. We might do some game nights, some live coding sessions that you just come hang out with us. And while we work on stuff like back end, I'm just working on a project that I'll write an article for. Maybe I'll just, stream that and you can join me in the DCC group and we can hang out and you can ask questions and I can ask you questions. Because sometimes it's like I'm learning along like everybody else.
Yeah, exactly. So you can see now I'm logged in as me. I've got a couple more things like this moderation chunk here. But under groups, we've got some hidden groups that we're starting to drop out there. But here's the DevCentral Connects group. And if I drop into that and I'm a registered member and I've joined the group, you can start to see content like this, which is just another post, right? Just another thread. But it's got the embedded, like Boo was saying, the embedded viewer, the show links and the show notes that we'll have, the show Zoom that we can come into and talk with each other, after the fact, and finished off conversations that didn't quite get finished or what have you. So, yeah, so that's just about ready to launch. I'm not sure. Are we going to do it for this March 31st show, or is this just a test?
Looks like it. It's on there.
We're doing it. All right.
It's happening. I think we're making the decision here live because Leaf, you can't say no on a live stream, right? So
Oh yeah. Okay, so I should have checked with you to make sure that you're ready to go before I did that. So
yes, cool. We are.
Okay, so one other thing I wanted to make sure and mention, two things actually, that could help users that they don't know is there. It's kind of just, it's there, but you don't really think about it. This help text. I mean, it's got a lot of stuff in here: how to register, how to get, how to search, ways that the search thing works, what suggestions are for. We talked about that. How to submit articles. It's got a really good chunk of help in there. So if you have an issue with the way that the system's working, just check there quick, because there's a good chance that you're going to find it. And then
if you find anything in the help section that's not quite accurate, let me know, or let the team know, and I can get that fixed up.
Yep, exactly. We get that fixed up tidy. And then one other thing I want to make sure everybody knew about was settings on your user profile. There's a lot of options for, especially notifications. If you feel like you're getting too many emails or too few emails or whatever, you can jump into your settings, and there's lots of options for how to change how soon things come, whether they are in a daily digest or a weekly digest, or you don't ever want to see those kinds of responses, those emails anymore. That's all in your settings. under subscriptions and notifications. There's another one here that's got this preferences with ways you can personalize the site for yourself. So I can change the way that the date displays for myself. I could put the time zone in there if I want to. That I would have had that as a default, but it broke some of the reporting on the back end that I'm still working for. So you can add, what is this notation, Jason? It's like Java notation or something. I don't know the exact way, but if I put ZZZ right there and save it, my interface will show the time zone. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, you can change it the way that that's displayed. You can change the way things line up, threaded, oldest first, how you want to see content in topics, how you want to see how many things you want to see on the first page, how your private messenger works, that kind of stuff. Some of this might be admin functions that some of you may not have, but for the most part, everything from the left over into this area somewhere is available for anybody on the site. So
yeah, and as limited as you were with your profile on the last platform, sky's the limit on this one. You have so much flexibility on how you set up your experience on the community.
Yep. And more is coming. There's also, you just kind of hunt around in here. This is where I'm like, turn over stones, right? Just go click on everything and see what it does. Play around. You probably pretty much can't break it. There's resets on almost everything as far as I know. So change it. You don't like it, hit reset and start over. So
very cool.
I guess that was it.
That's awesome. If anybody couldn't tell, all three of us are super excited about this platform. It's been great to welcome all of the users onto the platform so far. Anybody who hasn't checked it out yet, though, do go check it out, community.f5.com. We're all hanging out on there. We got our Wordle thread on there, all sorts of ways to engage. Any questions that you have on F5, though, obviously you can ask inside of there. And we've got plenty of MVPs and other experts on there that will be able to help you out. So thank you very much, Leaf, and Jason as well, for all of your work in the past while to get the platform up and running for the community. It's been cool to see it launch and everybody be happy with it.
Yeah. My sign of happiness is that I haven't heard any complaints yet. any complaints with no sticking power. I mean, everybody likes a color or something one way, but nothing like what we had to deal with for the last little while. So we're working on it.
Yeah, very cool to see. All right, Jason and I are going to wrap up a couple things, but thank you very much, Leaf, for jumping on today.
Cheers.
Appreciate it, Leaf.
Thank you.
See you on the platform.
Yeah.
He's got the coolest backdrop, by the way.
Yeah, he does.
He wins backdrop.
He does. It's a lot of you can, I always tell people, hey, you should have some personality in your background, even though I don't really do it myself very much. I just got a plant and I have a camera on there, but Leaf, you can definitely tell his personality from his background. So that's really cool to see.
Yeah.
All right. So just a note from the research team on there, community.f5.com again. I put the URL out on the banner there every so often, just in case. A couple shows that we have coming up, though, Jason. Let's talk through this one here. I'll let you talk about this one.
Sure, yeah. So we got Lab 4. I was supposed to host. Was I host last week or guinea pig last week?
I was hosting. We had on, if folks didn't check that out, we had Daniel Wolf jump on to be the guinea pig, and that was really cool to have him do it and participate. So
that's right. So this week I'm host. Yeah. So I'm like trying to get back into the swing of things. So I'm host. So tomorrow will be lab day for me to make sure I'm ready to go with any gotchas that Buu might hit through that lab. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, that should be good.
And that wraps up microservices March, right? Thursday?
Yes, it does actually. I feel like we should have some sort of celebration, but I guess that show will be the celebration. Maybe we can have some treats or something.
We'll have to have some confetti like overlays or something.
Yeah. Yes. Let's can somebody come up with that for us?
There you go.
Okay, and then the next Tuesday, we will restart the Tuesday lineup, starting with At the Edge. And again, I've called this Service Provider Special because there's some service provider specific products that are coming out that have to do with Edge, and we'll be talking about them on next Tuesday's show. My special guest will be Robin Mordashevitz, who is one of my fantastic friends who is actually Canadian as well. So I'm looking forward to having him on and being able to share the live stream stage with him. Should be a lot of fun. Yeah, otherwise, that is about it. We will, let's see, do we have any comments on here? Leaf, just your friendly neighborhood webpage slinger. And then the research team put in Lab 3's link with Daniel Wolf. Really cool to have him on. And he joined us on the after show Zoom call as well. So that was great. All right, folks. And final word. Again, we just mentioned a couple of minutes ago for folks who did not watch that or see that part or catch that part. If you go on to the groups on community.f5.com, you can also check out a DCC live stream group where you'll see all the show notes. And then Thursday's show already has an entry for it. So you can actually watch the show from within the thread if you wanted to. We'll post the show notes inside of there, and we'll have the after show the after show Zoom link on there. So should be a good time.
Yep. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. With that said, I will bring on Peter, and Jason, we'll see you on Thursday.
All right. Looking forward to it. Take care, everyone.
Yeah. See ya.
This week on DevCentral Connects. Oh, mama, I'm in need of a lab from the long arm of my app. Boom, 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 boom. Hackman is coming down from the gallows, and I don't have very long. Go! The jig is up, the news is out for Nginx Microservices March, Month of Learning. And it's the final lab covering advanced Kubernetes deployment strategies. Thursday, March 31st, 9:30 a.m. Pacific. We'll learn about zero downtime deployments with traffic splitting, blue-green deployments, tracing, and mapping flows in real time. Boy, that's a lot. Buu and Jason take you through Lab 4 for the first 30 minutes, and then they'll switch over live and join us at community.f5.com for more interaction. The link in the description sets your reminders and gets you access to DevCentral. DevCentral Connects is live every Thursday, 9:30 a.m. Pacific. The jig is up, the news is out. This will be the end today of Learning Month. This will be the end today for Month of Learning. You get the idea.